As we enter another year, our world faces new challenges that not only affect us, but also future generations.
We have all seen photos of polar bears stranded on ice, surrounded by melting glaciers, and said, what can I do to stop this from happening?
Climate change has been discussed for many years, but now more than ever among young people.
Youth today face a future where they are vulnerable to climate impacts.
Many believe the rise in weather related natural disasters is related to climate change.
In addition, colder seasons are now much warmer. Coral reefs are dying. Numerous states face record breaking droughts. Areas affected by wildfires are not receiving enough rainfall to replace destroyed vegetation, and devastating storms are becoming more common as the temperature of our planet rises.
If no action is taken, future generations may live in a deteriorating world resulting from decisions made by those before them.
Hello, and welcome to the There Is No Planet B podcast, presented by the Valentine Keystone Lions. For the next 6 weeks, we encourage you to listen in as we will partake in discussions surrounding climate change and how it is not only affecting our natural world, but the personal worlds of teens. My name is Jonathan, and I will be your host. Joining us today, we have members of our Keystone group Aaron, Samantha, Valerie, Nigel, and Norman. All right, so welcome to our first official podcast.
Yeah.
Yay!
Just a little background: this podcast is part of our National Keystone Project, which surrounds climate change. The project this year is named "There Is No Planet B." So, yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So, first things first: what is Keystone?
Keystone is awesome. It's actually it's a leadership group for teens so that they can like step up and make things happen around the club that staff might not know about, or like bring new projects to the table, or like engage people at the club. Like I know for sure, our Valentine Keystone is really good at keeping up with like social media and events that can appeal to both teens and kids alike. So I think that's one of the ways that Valentine Keystone is special.
I definitely feel like that Keystone is part of the many glues of the club because we involve everybody and not just select people or a select group, because we make sure it's fun for everybody and for everybody to have an enjoyable time at the club. And we focus more on our preparation for each other and preparation for others by doing things that are more in the scholastic field, and we do things that are more in the community skill. Like we do more things outside. We partner with a lot of people. Like for example, we have Georges that we partner with. They're very generous, and we try to reach out that helping hand, and we ask others for helping hands so we can make the community stronger as a whole Keystone group.
So, how has Keystone helped you guys through the pandemic?
Oh boy, I love coming to Keystone. It's like something I look forward to every week. I've been so excited about this podcast. Like, this is so awesome. And the fact that we're doing all of these things, there are so many things that we have done. Right now, we're working on a bike powered phone charger. We're doing a lot of stuff that a lot of clubs have not been able to do. We're still coming in and social distancing, but also getting everything done that we need to get done.
For me, it just keeps me outside.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah,
to be home all day, sitting in a
definitely.
room at a computer at my
Yeah.
very interesting teachers.
Right.
Interesting.
Especially that civics class.
Yes, we all know about the civics, the infamous civics class.
Oh, civics.
Yeah, but it just gets me outside to do something and stay motivated, so
Yeah.
I don't get lazy and not turn in any homework.
Yeah,
Mm.
Keystone lets me see my friends because I don't really go anywhere since the pandemic. So Keystone helps me like see my friends a lot more. Also, it helps me keep outside as well, so I won't be cooped up in my room.
Like y'all said, I don't do a lot, and this is basically my chance to go out and actually do something because I don't leave my room when I'm at the house. So when I do come here, I can also participate in the many activities that you have at the club as well. So
Okay.
Also, there's a lot of like during when we were all at home, our creativity kind of shrunk.
Yeah, it dropped for
Like
sure.
it kind of got dry.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Keystone is here, and now that we're making all of these projects and we have to use our thinking skills and our knowledge to think of ideas to do with both kids and teens, which by the way, pretty hard. Um, it helps us think more and it helps us think outside the box, not just for the club but also for the community.
Okay. So a lot of you have mentioned, finally being able to get outside, right? So we
Yay.
were stuck in quarantine for what, over a year?
Oh god.
Kind of instructed to, social distance, not being able to see relatives, friends, just kind of sticking to our own schedule. And, it did get repetitive. For me, it got boring, right? A lot of our routines were kind of thrown for a loop.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to kind of be outside now? Like being able to get that fresh air now that it's the weather's getting warmer, right? We can do a little bit more. Obviously, still stay safe, social distance. But how do you guys feel, just being outside?
Just smelling the outside air and the rain yesterday was enough to make me like the happiest I've been all week. Like when I tell you that the nice weather giving me incentive to go outside is making me happy, it's really boosting my happiness levels. Like I knew that I missed the outside, but I didn't realize how much I missed spring and how much I missed like just being out and seeing other people and just, everyday interactions because we're not meant to be at home all by ourselves. We're meant to talk to other people.
Yeah. So positive, positive impact on emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And outside can be a fun place. Like I personally sometimes look outside, especially in the mornings, because not a lot of people and you can just do your little thing. But early this morning on the way here, as it was saying, it was raining, but also the wind had its own personal vendetta
Oh
against
my
me
gosh, yeah.
because as I was walking, the wind is blowing the rain against my face, and therefore feel like I'm getting stabbed by multiple needles. And I had to take my glasses off because I couldn't see. So I'm just walking down the street, squinting my eyes, making sure the light is green, and making sure nobody ain't feeling reckless either. So
A blind Norman is on the loose.
I wasn't outside when it was raining, but like Wednesday, like no, not Wednesday, last week or something, it was like warm. And I took the whole lakefront, took a bike ride. It was real nice. Also worked out the same day, so I had a good night's sleep.
Nice.
But going outside, it just keeps me fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like
For sure.
I might live in a house with like 5 other people. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean I like them. That doesn't mean I like to talk to them. Not to say like they bad people, but
Right. No, I feel you.
Yeah.
You get tired of your family
family
after
is
a while.
just
It
you don't
gets
have to
that.
like your family. You just gotta love them.
Yeah.
Right, John?
I love everyone.
do not try to get John to partake in
Yeah,
questions
John's gonna
about
say
family.
something he does not want to say.
Hey, okay. But Nigel brings up a good point, right? Just being outside, being able to go out and exercise, being able to just go out and be on the lake, right? Um, Something that we haven't been able to do and maybe we took for granted, right? So hitting on our first topic, which is our relationship with our environment, right? Um, we don't live in the woods, we don't live in the country, we don't live in the mountains, we live in a city. So maybe we're used to the pollution, we're used to cars driving by, we're used to there's all like light pollution, right? Car pollution, um, like garbage all over the place. You know, kind of getting back into the swing of things. You know, have you noticed anything different than before? Is everything the same? Uh, what do you guys think?
Okay, first thing I notice about the people in general, and then not just the environment itself, is that even you can't you won't have a mask on, but they will, and I promise you they'll take the long way around to get past you. It's like I'm not even thinking about you. I'm not thinking about nothing about you, but she'll look at me, go around the car. It could be a whole puddle, but you'll decide to water bend over the puddle just to get past me. Then I look like then I'm going to by the rest of my day talking about making me look bad.
Yeah, I feel the same thing. Like sometimes I'll leave home and I check my pockets and I'm like, have my phone, my stuff, but sometimes it literally doesn't even come across my mind about a mask. And I'm like almost halfway here and I'm like, oh shoot, my mask, because I see other people wearing it. I'm like, oh man. So then I have to walk without one, and then just them trying to avoid me makes me feel bad that I forgot one, and then it just like it makes me feel bad.
Yeah, same. Me and my dad went to go get sandwiches once, and we were like outside of the sandwich place when we realized that neither of us had our masks, and we were like,
Oh
"Oh,
no.
gotta go back," because we didn't have any
Yes.
extras in the car.
That's why you store all the extras in the car.
Yeah, we thought we had extras, but then we looked, and we were like, "Oh, we're all out of extra."
I
That's
mean,
why you get delivery. Big brain.
as far as the environment goes, like I noticed that so I live by Palmisano Park and there's like a huge hill, and when you're sitting on that hill you can see like the highway with the cars. I noticed there's more people taking their individual cars instead of public transportation because they're afraid of COVID. But the thing is, like, by taking public transportation you're helping the environment, and people are more afraid of um, COVID than our Earth, which is in trouble. And I understand like how they can be afraid and everything, but also it kind of hurts me knowing that they care more about themselves than like the environment around them.
So, what experiences have you had personally where you've kind of noticed people kind of neglecting or not, maybe not acknowledging, climate change, whether you believe it or not, right? What, what have you seen people do, talk about? What is the kind of general consensus amongst your peers?
Just the other day, like I was standing waiting for the bus, and this guy threw like a water bottle out his window, and it hit me. Like not, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but still, I was like, you're in the car. You're literally going to be driving home to where a trash can is. I don't understand why people still litter. And the one thing that makes me upset is that like all these snowbanks, like you all guys already know, there was like 12 feet of snow on the ground.
Oh, yeah, when they
People
melted.
decided to throw all their trash in the snowbanks. Like people weren't going to see it when it melted. And seeing all this garbage is just like infuriating because it's not that hard to find a trash can in a city where there's an alley at every corner. It's really not that difficult to hold your stuff or put it in your backpack just so you can wait to get home or find a trash can to throw it out. It blows my mind. I don't get it.
I also makes me really mad when I hear people are like, "Oh, I have to go to CVS because the CVS is right here," and we live like probably not even a block away, and then they're like, "Oh yeah," and they go to their car, and I'm like, "You're a block away. You can walk. You don't have to use that toxic like air coming out of your car
Yes, exactly.
to pollute the air when you have your own set of legs."
Mm-hmm.
Like you're literally one block away, or like I ask sometimes, like Sam, like, "Hey, can we walk home?" And she's like, "Well, yeah." But then I surveyed people at my school, and I'm like, "You live close, don't you?" They go, "Yeah." I'm like, "Would you rather walk home or would you rather take a car?" And they're like, "Well, I'd rather drive because it takes less time." And there are some that can literally walk and bike to school instead of having to drive there. And it makes me upset that people don't realize how much walking is an advantage. Like I see a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people that are like, I'm I took advantage of walking and I took advantage of running when, their legs don't work anymore. And it should be that mindset that everybody should have, because cars are only for very long distances. Like if you're going to like Walmart or Sam's Club or somewhere where they has like a great price, or like for gas going, that's another thing. I'm going to get that later. But um cars are for only long-term distances, like from state to state. But like if you're that close within about like 7 to 8 blocks, use a bike or your legs.
Or even a mile. Like Val and I, we live a mile away from Mariano's, and we walk there sometimes. And like we walk here sometimes. So one of our friends lives right by Sox Park. We walk over to go see her, whether it's like summer or like fall when the weather's nice. Even when it's like not so good, we brace ourselves for the journey. Like we make a whole thing out of it. It's like a really big deal. But also like it's a time for us to converse with each other and to like catch up with each other, and um, while doing that, saving the environment and boosting serotonin levels because we're doing exercise.
I would also like to add that people will go out of their way to go farther to get gas to burn more gas to come home.
No, literally.
And it
though.
makes me really mad. I'm like, then what's the point? There's no point to that. And they get gas just so they can come back home and on their way home go to somewhere close like Mariano's. And it makes me really upset because that's perfect walking distance. You could walk yourself and you're literally wasting your time and you're wasting your money and you're wasting the environment's time.
John, you look like you've been guilty of that.
Of course, I mean, if I can save $2 at the pump, count me in. As you guys, we had a lengthy discussion earlier about driving and everyone getting their permits. Well, some of you will find out pretty soon that gas does not run on friendship, right?
Right.
Gas is not free. So
Literally.
I am guilty. I am guilty of sometimes driving a little bit farther than I should to get gas, right? But it's just kind of the society we live in. It's unfortunate, and hopefully you guys can be a part of that change somehow, right? Whether it's maybe becoming policymakers, or whether it's maybe just having those conversations with your peers and your parents and your family members, so that they're able to make those changes. It may not be on a large scale, but at least you can make a small difference here, a small difference there, and those things do add up. Or so we hope, right?
Right.
Okay, so let me say my piece before we move on. As you said earlier about the leaving trash in the snowbanks, people really take care of self-preservation rather than the environment. Matter of fact, just taking care, making that self easier. Like for example, you go buy something from Subway, you buy a drink, the Subway and the chips, but on the way back you said I don't feel like carrying this, so you just leave it outside on the ground. It's like
Oh my god.
you could just, the can might not even be open. It can be open. Just leave it on the ground because you find it inconvenient for yourself to carry this while you don't feel like carrying it. It's like it could be a whole can unopened. You decide to leave it on the corner, go about your day. Then later on that day, you'll feel like, oh, I should never leave this pop out there. Then
I
they
can
don't
literally feel
care.
the anger rising within my system, please.
So you guys notice a lot of these things, on a daily basis. When you guys go out to the woods or camping trips, somewhere more open that's not the city, are you guys more aware of your surroundings? How does that kind of make you feel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I usually go camp. I used to go camping a lot with like my Girl Scout troop and my parents, and it would be like a big difference from like city life than like in the middle of the woods and like there's like nobody else there. It's like because I looked outside once I could like see the stars, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird because like usually I wouldn't be able to see like as many stars as I did like when I was camping, and there's not as much like pollution out there. It's like a significant less amount.
You can breathe.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, this feels different.
Not only that, light pollution. There is
Yeah.
a lot of more lights in the city, and with the country, there's like some stores and some shopping here and there, but they're very scattered, which makes light pollution a lot less.
See, but also that increases car pollution because you got to drive so far to get to the next town. You got to drive like 30 miles. Val and I go to Wisconsin a lot, and like we have like a little house that's on like a lakefront property, but there's a lot more nature with it. So like there's like trees and stuff, and like we have a fireplace, but my dad only like takes the wood if there's like a fallen tree, and he takes the fallen tree and like makes it into firewood because like use whatever can't be used anymore. Um, but like when we're up in Wisconsin, we do what we can to go outside and embrace what's going on, like the birds, the water sounds, all of that, while doing like everyday things outside, like playing a board game or reading something. So like that's something that Val and I appreciate a lot. And hearing like the wind rustle through the trees, like that's a really big thing. And it smells better, and the rain there, it smells really, really good. Nothing like a fresh rain in the country.
I'm a rain sniffer. I have to admit, I'm a rain sniffer.
Back when I was younger, a little lad, my brother. Whenever the few times we went camping, we always we never actually stayed near like where we was like staying at. We always used to go out and go look at some stuff, go get some dead trees, start the campfire every night, like every night. Our mother used to like yell at us for like smelling like smoky, smelling smoky. Like we just burnt the whole forest down.
Oh.
We only burned down half the
no,
forest.
not that.
We only burned down half.
We need the forest. No,
Couldn't eat the
please.
forest, man.
You weren't on the West
Air
Coast
and
this
all
summer, were you?
Huh?
I said you weren't on the West Coast this summer, were you? Just
Funny,
double checking. Just double-
Hey,
not funny.
I didn't go anywhere this
Sorry,
summer.
Yikes.
Actually.
sorry.
I love that for him.
Keep going.
Rumbo Raggy. Yeah, and I'd like to also add that like when you're out there, it's so easy to disconnect from yourself. Like there's so much of that like self-worry and that like selfishness that just leaves, it evaporates. And it just, you can see your body outside of you, and then you finally know what you want and you think about things more. And I can tell you that when I would leave the city and I would go to Wisconsin, there are a lot of decisions that I made out there that were pretty good decisions because I took time and I thought about it and I knew like actions equal consequences. So, like, we won't have that if we don't start doing something.
It's a
like,
good time to self-reflect.
yeah, and we won't have anything like that if we don't start doing anything and start being more considerate, because if people aren't conscious about their actions, there's going to be a lot of consequences, especially not just for us, but for the earth and for future generations.
Right. Right. And that's why
Karma's
like
a
it's
thing.
so hard because like we're all really interconnected and hurting like looking out for just yourself hurts everybody and every living thing around you. Like you should throw a bottle on the street, but then like you could some animal is gonna see it and be like, oh yeah, that's food. Like I'm gonna eat that, and then they'll eat it
Like,
and find out something's wrong with it.
That's not looking out for yourself, that's being selfish.
Exactly.
Because looking out for yourself would be knowing the good things, like knowing what to do in that situation.
Knowing
like he
what's
could have
morally right for you. Like
right.
yeah.
He
right
could have
from wrong.
perfectly kept that bottle in his car and done the right thing, knowing that he did a good thing.
See, I wouldn't say selfish at that point. I would just say trashy.
Yeah,
He's a trash person.
Trifling.
Selfish was
I
too
like
nice.
the pun. That's good.
So I guess the question, that we'll kind of wrap up with is, how could we help people, in our community, at the club, within your families, develop a relationship with the natural world? How do we go about starting that conversation?
So I think everybody should at least go to a rural area at least one
Go
time
camping.
in their life, at least once, because like if you don't like it, that's okay, but go out once in a while and be with nature. Because a lot of people who live in the city, I know, don't do that. They're so cooped up here in this little bubble in Chicago, which Chicago is nice, but it's not full of nature. Like you find nature parks, but that's not the same. And I don't think people really understand how important it is to actually be outside. Like, yes, mosquitoes suck. I hate them with a passion. But, like, that's not going to stop me from going out to the country, Like, it's just something that everybody has to do at some point in their lives.
Having nature parks is like a zoo attraction.
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Literally a zoo with nature.
For
Right.
real, though. Dude, it's so sad.
Whenever me and my family went camping, we would have this rule where we couldn't use any of our phones or electronics at all, and it would force us to become more aware of our surroundings, and like we would do like regular things like outside. We'd enjoy nature, and we'd like my mom picked flowers once, which was I didn't do that because I don't like picking things off the ground. But we've done it before. Like with my Girl Scout troop, we would like go and do things that would like be connected with nature. We'd like pick up sticks and like go like create a fire or something. So like it would like I'd say that would be like a way to have people develop a relationship with nature. Like at least go camping once or twice.
And like my certain idea was people can say a lot of things but actually don't do it. So like a way for me to like probably help is like a program or something like that. It's something like what Keystone's doing. We get a group of people, we talk about this, we do this, we celebrate with this. Because if you just say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead go outside, but you go outside, sit down for like 2 minutes and go right back to what you was doing previously, you really ain't doing nothing but just moving your leg. And that's just a waste of time and effort. So if you like have a certain criteria or a schedule set in place, you can follow that more easier and it may have a purpose.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You all make very good points, and hopefully in the next couple weeks, months, when we put together these projects, we have Earth Day coming up. We can kind of invite the community to develop that deeper relationship with the environment, so that they start to gain a better appreciation of the things that are around them. Right? Who knows? It may not be there in a couple of years. It may change, but just to kind of live in the moment and enjoy the natural beauty around us. So the truth is, we will not fight to protect something that we don't care about. That's why it's important to reflect upon what we love about nature and the environment outside our homes and schools. We must nurture and strengthen our relationship with the environment. So, with that being said, thank you guys. We'll bring this to an end. Our first successful podcast. We hope, right?
Nice.
Yay!
Episode with more to come. We will have 5 more episodes surrounding climate change discussions. We'll answer different questions, tackle different issues, and we'll kind of see where our teams, our Keystone group, your heads are, and what you think of everything that's going on.
Keystone signing out.
Oh, wow, wow.